GBV 2020, reading Wednesday, July 22nd. Mark, the book of Mark, chapter 5, verse 30. Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that power had gone out of him, turned around in the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes?" God had once ordered the Israelites to put tassels on the four corners of their top garments and to run a blue thread through them. The sight of these tassels was to remind them constantly of God's commandments. They were to keep his ordinances and thus be sanctified to God. In this way, God connected obedience to his word with these visible signs for his earthly people. The scribes and Pharisees used to make broad hems for their garments. See Matthew 23:5. As the religious leaders of the people, they laid emphasis on the outward adherence to the law. Inwardly, however, they were far from leading a life of that corresponded to God's righteous demands. Then the Lord Jesus came, the Son of God, who was a faithful servant and dependent on God. In his holy and pure life, he was ever perfectly obedient. He too, the Lord of glory, had a hem to his garment. But for him, it was not a reminder of God's commandments. It expressed his unfailing, faithful, devoted fulfillment of God's ordinances. The Lord's life, lived in dependence of God, was at the same time a life of divine power. This was seen when he healed the woman in the incident of today's verse above. She was convinced that she could be cured if she only touched his garment, and her faith was rewarded. The power of the Lord was present to heal them. Luke 5:17. Today's reading is Joshua 2, verse 1 to 13, and 1 Corinthians 1:10 to 17. Be blessed.